Community gardening fosters shared green spaces where individuals come together to cultivate plants, nurturing not only vegetation, but also a sense of community. These gardens, often located in urban areas, serve as hubs for cooperation, education, and sustainable living. Participants, ranging from seasoned gardeners to novices, collaborate on tasks, exchanging knowledge and resources. Beyond promoting fresh produce, community gardens promote social cohesion, mental well-being, and environmental stewardship. By reconnecting people with nature and each other, these green oases cultivate healthier communities and empower individuals to actively engage in the cultivation of their surroundings, both physical and social. AIB presents Community Gardens. We visited the Stone Mountain Community Garden and spoke to the members about how the gardens have kept the vegetables and the heart of the community alive.
I'm Columbus Brown. I'm the site leader for the Stone Mountain Community Garden here in Stone Mountain. I got started with the Stone Mountain Community Garden in 2001 when the city and the DeKalb County Extension Service got together and developed a partnership between the city and the county to open this community garden. It was first a baseball field, and now it's a thriving garden with a lot of volunteers, people who grow their own crops personally. We have a food pantry garden where we grow food for the local food pantry, and we have a number of other amenities here that are helpful to educating the general public, kids through seniors, about gardening. Stone Mountain Community Garden was started in March of 2011, and it's a place where families come together, individuals, be them young kids or seniors, to grow crops of their own. It's also a place where we have a food pantry garden where we grow food for the local food pantry, which serves people that have food insufficiencies in this community. We started to develop a relationship with the Stone Mountain Ecumenical Food Pantry back around 2009 when we were at another site. And once we moved here, we had a lot more land, we had water, and all the necessary things to have a good community garden. We have individuals who decide that they want to garden. They may not be able to garden at home because they live in an apartment or they have too much shade in their yard, and or they don't have enough land. So this is a good platform for them to come and grow things that they need or would like to grow on a year-round basis. And one of the things that we teach here is if you have too much, you can always share it. Don't let it go to waste.
Community gardens often play an important supporting role in feeding those at risk of going hungry or those who have difficulty finding nutritious food in their community. We spoke to Kenny Hill, the Chief Supply Chain Officer at the Atlanta Community Food Bank.
Food insecurity is very real. We're working very hard to address it from several angles, but it's something that a lot of people don't think about maybe until there's a run at the grocery store because the weather's bad, But food insecurity for some families, which really means a family not knowing where they're going to get the next meal and that meal is going to be enough for them, it's very real for many of our Georgian neighbors.
Our gardeners are encouraged to share with their neighbors, and they can also share with the food pantry garden. And we oftentimes will take produce from individuals that have grown more than they need and include it in the crops that go to the food pantry. Now, our food pantry garden, which provides on average 100 pounds of fresh produce to the Stone Mountain Evangelical Food Pantry each year. And this past year, that helped about 65 families who had food insufficiencies in the local community.
At the food bank, we are serving the pantries and soup kitchens and schools in the community to help them serve their neighbors. But community gardens are already there in the neighborhoods. So they are really what should be that first line of food insecurity defense, that people know we're intentionally growing in our urban gardens so that we know we're going to have food that will be available to us. And I think that is something that we need to continue to talk about, continue to support, so that we have more people aware, more people engaged in being a part of this solution.
Community gardens are vital hubs fostering sustainable practices and communal well-being. These gardens also foster social cohesion, bridging diverse backgrounds through shared activities and harvests. They provide educational opportunities, teaching about ecosystems, nutrition, and self-sufficiency. Moreover, community gardens repurpose underutilized urban spaces, promoting green infrastructure and biodiversity. By nurturing connections between people and nature, these gardens promote sustainable lifestyles while fostering resilient and vibrant communities for generations to come. We spoke to Fred Conrad from Food Well Alliance to talk about the importance of community gardens, their sustainability, ongoing education about them, and contributions to addressing hunger issues.
My name is Fred Conrad. I'm Community Garden Coordinator for Food Well Alliance in Atlanta, Georgia. Community garden is this intersection, and there are a lot of volunteer opportunities in community gardens because in addition to having your own plot, you're also sort of, as a member of the garden club, you're responsible to help take care of the common areas and the pollinator gardens and with the harvest and the compost pile and all that stuff. And so it just is a great junction of those two things for me, and it's just such a natural fit. I love it very much.
Community gardens provide several things. One is the educational aspect for people to understand that there's a process that produces our food. Community gardens, so many of them entertain schools for field trips, for students to come out and see the process, see that the produce is being developed, grown out of soil or in planters. And that's important for that young people understand that, you know, our food comes from the earth. It's grown, it's intentionally planted, taken care of, and harvested. And when you can bring that out of the large farm area that's very removed and bring it right into a community, that really, the educational aspect, the experiential aspect is priceless.
We have ongoing workshop series, and we also have the capacity to come to individual gardens and do workshops for the specific garden clubs if they have, and technical assistance. Mostly the community gardens, because there's a whole group of people, somebody within the garden has a level of expertise in pretty much every subject that you could possibly imagine. But Foodwell does provide trainings. We also, especially in leadership and the community engagement pieces of community gardening.
People join community gardens to cultivate fresh produce, learn sustainable gardening practices, and make social connections.
You have to provide a path to leadership. People that join the garden join for different reasons. Some people want to just come and they just want to take care of their plot and grow some food. other people want to come and be around other people, and they want to be able to, they want to know when the work days are so that they can come and be with all the other members of the garden club.
Members come together to share knowledge, resources, and harvests, creating vibrant hubs of collaboration and support.
And there are some people, and this is true of every nonprofit and every garden club and every other thing, there's a whole bunch of people that come to the garden and want to participate, but there's always got to be this little core group, this little leadership team that schedules the meeting, organizes the cookies and punch, gets the guest speaker lineup, makes all that happen so that the other people who just want to come at a lower level and just participate, and that includes volunteers who may want to just come one time and volunteer and help out and feel good and know that they helped, and that's how they want to touch local food. They want to be able to just come in, but somebody's got to provide the shovels, the rakes, make sure that the seeds are there, that the water's turned on, the water bill gets paid. This particular garden is in a city park. Somebody has got to maintain the relationship with the city or the county or whoever the landowner is. There's a lot of intersectoral partnerships in community gardens, a lot of community gardens that are being hosted by the municipality, and there's got to be an agreement, an arrangement, and there's got to be a maintenance there. There's got to be a relationship. And so Foodwell Alliance provides trainings to help people think all that through. If there are cases where permits have to be acquired, such as if you're in a City of Atlanta park, you need a permit. If you're going to do a community garden in a vacant lot in Atlanta, you need a different kind of permit. We can help with all that kind of thing.
The opportunities of partnership are endless. Partnership at several levels, at the community garden level. I know there's been plenty of times that they've wanted simple to get soil and fertilizer, and they were raising funds to be able to, because the inputs to a garden can be substantial, and anyone who could step up to be a provider or assist with that is really being someone who's helping the end product of that garden being able to produce. Organizations, small businesses can partner in the communities. The schools also, we have some instances where community gardens grow things specifically for schools. And the school already knows that, in the season that there's harvest, we're going to get this produce to be able to take to our school to share with our families and the students in need.
One person fostering a sense of community among his neighbors with his own community garden is Craig Gilbert.
I'm Craig Gilbert. I live in the Toco Hills, Thompson Park area of Atlanta, and I have a front yard garden that also serves as a community garden for all my neighbors and their children. We often pick blueberries, pick persimmons, collect fruit and vegetables in the garden, and all the children in the neighborhood know that this is a safe place and they're welcome here whenever.
The gardens also offer people the opportunity to reconnect with nature, promote environmental sustainability, and contribute to local food systems.
What has drawn me to gardening is the ability to connect with the earth and not come home and sit and watch TV, but to do something productive and be part of this earth. Another thing has been the great friendships and the knowledge that I've gained by experimenting and doing new things all the time in the garden and working with my neighbors.
Through active participation, members not only cultivate plants, but also cultivate a sense of belonging, empowerment, and shared responsibility for the well-being of their communities.
There are a lot of people who are moving in from different areas of the country, and they're not quite ready to garden at home, or they can't garden at home because they don't have the space. And this is a place that provides that space for them. As people read news articles and go to the internet and look at community gardens in Stone Mountain, they find us. And one of the things that I have found to be very helpful here is when people find out that you're doing good things, they come and join in. We take in a lot of used materials from people of the community that contribute to a cause. And when they know that we're doing something like growing food for the people that have food insufficiencies, that really helps them to want to help us. We've had a variety of folks come and join in at the garden. Not all of the people who come here know how to garden, but we have a cadre of master gardeners. We have 10 or 12 master gardeners that are like an on-site help desk for people with their gardening questions. And there's one lady who came up to me. I had given a talk on how to start a spring garden. And she says, I want a garden. I don't know anything, but I want a garden. So this lady was a nurse, and she came in and she said, hey, can you teach me? So we worked with her, and she had a real fear of worms. But worms are some of the best things to have in a garden because of what they do for the soil. They enrich the soil, they aerate the soil. And her first crop was sweet potatoes. And she grew an abundance of sweet potatoes. And I had to help her harvest them because she was afraid of the worms. 10 years later, she's still gardening. She went from 1 plot to 3 plots. And that's the max that you can have here. And she grows year-round.
Despite the many benefits of community gardens, they often face challenges such as limited access to land, funding constraints, and resource disparities. Maintenance issues, including pest management and soil quality, can also arise. Additionally, ensuring diverse participation and resolving conflicts within the community can also pose ongoing challenges.
The community garden has its challenges. One, we do not use any pesticides at this garden. So because of that, we have to deal with pests in a different manner. So when we have bugs that come into the garden, we have to deal with them in manners that don't involve the use of pesticides. So we will oftentimes hand-pick bugs from plants, and we have issues here with fire ants like anyone else in Georgia, and we deal with them with mechanical means. We don't, again, use any pesticides with them, but sometimes we'll use things like diatomaceous earth, which the ants will eat, and it sort of cuts them up on the inside, and it reduces the populations. We've also learned that when you disturb the soil, the ants don't like that. So they sort of move a little bit somewhere else. So we encourage our gardeners to actively manage their plots, and those that actively manage their plots have fewer problems with fire ants. Another technique we use is grits. Now grits do the opposite thing of diatomaceous earth. Is the ants will take in the grits, and when water comes into their system, it basically blows them up. So those are some techniques that we use to control fire ants. But there's a bigger problem here that we've had of recent, and that's deer. All of the vegetables that you see over here are the cruciferous vegetables that the deer tend to stay away from. So we haven't had any deer problems over here. So we have learned to plant things that the deer don't like in the wide open spaces. But we've come to realize that we have to protect the plants from the deer that they love. And they like things that are sweet, and they like things that are spicy. They like peppers. The hotter, the better. They will even eat habanero peppers.
The weather and unexpected temperature changes can also impact a plant's health.
Unfortunately, this broccoli was damaged by the cold temperatures that we had when it went down to 13 degrees. So some of the broccoli made it, some of it didn't. So this ends up in the compost pile.
Neighbors coming together to create a backyard community garden fosters a sense of camaraderie and sustainability. This collaborative effort encourages knowledge exchange, strengthens bonds, and enhances the beauty of the neighborhood. Together, they address environmental challenges such as urban heat islands and food deserts, while promoting a greener, healthier living environment. The garden becomes a hub of activity, providing not just nourishment, but also a gathering place for social interaction, education, and collective empowerment, enriching the lives of all involved. We visited Craig Gilbert in his neighborhood, where they are foraging for mushrooms among other gardening activities.
I wanted to show today what a mushroom log looks like when it's bearing. These are logs that are probably 4 or 5 years old, and it appears that they're sitting in the sun only because all the leaves are off the tree. But you can see that they have holes drilled in them and all the markings of where an inoculation occurred. And normally in the summer and all throughout the year, this is a shady spot, but at this very moment it's not. And when the temperature is correct, when the rainfall is correct, the mushrooms will emerge out of the log and appear something like this. These are beautiful. They've been on perhaps a little too long. And what you do is you try and pick them off right at the wood line, and you got a beautiful shiitake mushroom. The old story is always make sure it's a good mushroom before you eat it. So I have people sending me pictures of their mushrooms to make sure it is what they were growing. But you look at the underneath and you make sure there's gills or fins in there, that the shape is right, the marking is right, and you can feel comfortable that you inoculated these, and what's emerging from this log is a shiitake mushroom. Some of the mushrooms, if they've been on the log too long, they can tend to dry and you have a dehydrated mushroom. Sometimes if they've been on the log too long, they can tend to get black and I don't recall the word, but they can go bad. They can just become where you wouldn't want to eat them. And typically I cut off the stem, but the stem is perfectly edible. Use them in eggs, use them with pasta, use them as a side dish with vegetables. They're the most flexible thing that you can have. They go with virtually anything. And you could also force them to dehydrate as well by putting them in a brown paper bag and leaving them in the refrigerator, and they will just dehydrate naturally through the air circulation in the refrigerator. And all you have to do is soak them in water for 20-30 minutes and you're able to cook with them. We have about 25 logs that we had planned to process today. We had about 10 neighbors invited that said they were coming, and so everyone would get 2 and I would keep 5, you know, but some people have come, some have come late, some have come early, so we'll see. But if we don't finish today, there's no problem doing it tomorrow or the next day. They'll be done by Sunday.
This is some really good soil.
Community gardens represent far more than just patches of cultivated soil. They embody resilience, sustainability, and community spirit. As shared spaces for growing food, they provide vital resources, promoting local food security and reducing reliance on distant supply chains. Beyond sustenance, they serve as educational hubs, teaching gardening skills, environmental stewardship, and healthy eating habits. Moreover, community gardens foster social cohesion, bridging divides and creating bonds among neighbors of diverse backgrounds. These spaces nurture not only plants, but also relationships, cultivating a sense of belonging and collective responsibility for the well-being of the community. They empower individuals to take ownership of their environment, promoting greener, healthier, and more vibrant neighborhoods. In an increasingly urbanized world, community gardens offer oases of nature, promoting mental and physical well-being, while demonstrating the power of collective action in addressing societal and environmental challenges. They stand as testament to the resilience and ingenuity of communities, inspiring hope and positive change for the future.